All right, YouTube, this is 2 Cent back with my 2 cents on Octopath Traveler. And once again, we're going to continue our series on the collab that's fast approaching, just a couple more days now. And Edea is going to be one of the units in this collab, but shouldn't be out coming this Wednesday. I believe we're gonna have to wait an additional week to get the banner that has her on it. So this is going to be a video to kind of help you decide maybe, okay, do I skip Odell so I can get Edea, or you know, possibly on the video that I'm going to put out tomorrow, you might want to wait till the last unit that we're going to be getting on this collab. So let's get into the video. All right, so here we go. Elemental resistances at 20% ice, 10% fire. And we're going to be looking at more tanky stats today as far as HP defense, magic defense, and speed. When we get into her kit, we're going to kind of figure out maybe that she's very tank leaning. So that's kind of what I wanted to utilize for comparison's sake today. But I don't want to come right out and say that she's only useful as a tank right here. So let's, stick with me to the end of the video and we'll kind of go over the different roles I think she can kind of fill here. All right, so you can see I have packed this full of a lot of yellow, and maybe I put too much of it out there and rather than giving you more specific highlights, but there are quite a few things that I want to touch about in this kit. So, at first we're going to have this kind of 2x sword that also increases 20% defense up. I think this is phenomenal. A lot of times you just get abilities that are just going to increase your defense rather than also doing an attack with it. And if it doesn't attack with it, it's normally a 1-hitter rather than a 2-hitter. So it's kind of nice to kind of have this ability fit into there. So when you're attacking something or fighting something that doesn't do magic damage, you can just utilize on this ability for it. Now, onto her AoE taunt though, it's also going to get 15% defense and magic defense. So that's kind of nice, but once again, you have a trade-off of doing no damage, but you are getting that AoE taunt and that buff up. So also really good. As you can see, we're looking at a tanky sort of a unit in those first two abilities, but now we're going to switch gears and get some really nice shield breaking abilities with a 3x sword single target, and then we have a 2x fire AoE, and then we also have a third one here that's a 2 to 5 times light random based off your boost. So the higher up your boost, the more hits it does, up to 5. It is light, but it is random. So obviously, if you're fighting a single boss, it doesn't matter if it's random. But if you're, fighting a group, some people don't like the randomness in it. I understand that. But this gives access, and I think, it's one of the first units that we're getting here that are going to have access to, 2 different types of elements plus their regular, weapon attack. So we're going to start transitioning more and more to having more units that can cover at least 3 sort of damage types. And here's just one of them. So looking at the passives here, we're also going to get when hit by attack, 25% chance to gain 1 BP. Obviously, if you're taunting, you're getting that extra defense, you're wanting people to hit you, then you have this chance of getting extra BP, which then is helping you with your, light attack by boosting it up to be able to, be a really good shield breaker against enemies that are weak to light. And then on top of that, she's going to get a damage up ability when attacking the enemy weakness. So all around, I do like this kind of base kit. And then looking into the future, when she gets her special, we'll have a 20%, defense and magic defense up, as well as being able to counter physical attacks. So I really do like this, unit as far as a tanking aspect, also utilized really well for shield breaking. I don't see anything that's horribly wrong with this unit's kit. We also have access to, a little self-heal there with a 1-hit sword attack. Likely, you're going to be running a healer and probably don't need to have that at all, but with the amount of damage you're taking, maybe you use that if you don't, have something better to do during that turn. So let's see maybe how she compares to the other warriors that we currently have. All right, so here we have her verse. Oh wait, yeah, that's right. There's no other role warriors that are currently filling this role. So yeah, it's gonna be really hard to kind of make a comparison when there's no other warrior that can do that. So what are we going to do? I'm going to call it audible here, and we're going to go up against just one of the other tanks in the currently in the game. So we're going to have Gilderoy here and kind of just take a quick look between the two of them and maybe see on just a pure tanking aspect who might be the better tank here. Unfortunately, I'm pretty sure that Edea is going to win out as far as like the shield breaking is concerned, but let's focus on the tanking aspect. All right, so right off the bat, let's take a look at how these stats compare. We're gonna have, 3,500 HP versus 3,200 for Edea. So, Gilderoy's gonna win out on that. However, when we're looking at defense here, he's gonna have 20 less defense than she's going to have, and a little bit higher magic defense for him. So pretty close as far as I would say magic defense goes. You're not gonna notice that 9 points very much, but you are going to notice that the 260 speed on Edea versus the 208 on Gilderoy. So maybe the speed doesn't matter quite as much to you, but I typically do like to have that just in case they can get out there and get that taunt off before one of the enemies goes, just to kind of save damage on the rest of my team. But it may not be the biggest deal for you, depending on how you're kind of speed tuning your team there. So the rest of the kit here, we're going to be looking at just basically spear and some lightning attacks. We do have a 3x lightning random over here, so you got a little bit of shield break capability. Once again, is a random, but does have a chance to inflict some paralyze, which is nice. And then as far as like spear attacks, really we're only getting a 2x spear attack here, and then one ability to spear AoE. So really in the kind of being able to break shield department, Gilderoy is not going to be on the same level at all to be able to kind of compare, and that makes it to where he is even more just a tank. And what's kind of concerning here is when we look at, he's got an AoE taunt to 15% defense up and magic defense up, same ability over there. The passives here, we're going to have self-defense up at the beginning for 20%. That's, pretty decent. But it's only for the first 3 turns. And then a critical HP, he does get a little bit of a regen there. So if you get lucky and he doesn't, fully die, then at least he'll be able to get some regen to kind of give himself a little bit of a boost. Unfortunately, I think what I'm looking at here is a unit who is going to be basically only being able to be a tank. And I don't think that there's enough extra in his kit that makes him a better tank than Edea. Maybe they're on pretty much the same level, but the kind of thought about it is you can get a lot more shield breaking capabilities and usefulness outside of when you don't actually need to have a tank. So I find that he's going to be a little bit lower on what I would consider a usefulness or priority list for us. So it's great to see Edea winning that kind of showdown there. So let's recap some of the pros here. As a great shield breaker, nice mitigation, being able to buff defenses and magic defense, and then 3 different types of damage, which I do just want to reiterate. I think that's really important, especially for some of us who are, maybe not spending a bunch on different banners or just kind of free to play, and we're going to need to be able to cover a lot of these different elements and, different weapon types for shield breaking. And we're finally, like I said, starting to see some units that can do that, and that's kind of exciting to see. However, as far as me, I do have Gilderoy in my team, and I, just went and showed you guys how I think that she's definitely going to be an upgrade from him. However, I do need a thief more, and so that's gotta come first. I gotta pull that first. As much as I really like this unit, I'm personally gonna pass unless I get some really crazy luck early on Edea, and I still have a load amount of gems. But we also have a cleric coming, and I kind of also need a cleric. So, at some point, I really just need to tell myself, hey, I need to prioritize those 2 units, and one of these 3 collab units is really going to have to go. I think 2 is really kind of pushing the kind of limits based off of the kind of luck that I've had lately. So definitely going to be hard to pass on this unit, but likely that's going to be what I'm going to do. However, if you're in need more of a tank for your team, more so than a thief or a cleric, then definitely go ahead. This would be a unit that I could suggest for people to pick up for that usefulness. All right, and so once again, we're going to look at a quick cons section. This is going to look very familiar. Selfish unit and a limited time unit. And I kind of struggle with the selfish unit, really. Really what I'm meaning here is we're not providing any debuffs to the enemies, and we're not providing any buffs to anybody but ourselves. However, we're also tanking for the team, so that really kind of counts in my mind in a way. So maybe not quite so selfish, but it is a limited unit. So, if you're trying to pick up dupes and stuff like that, could be rather expensive to try and do that on the outset, why we have these limited banners. Anyway, that's been my 2 cents.